Incorrect. Well, what do we got here? Oh, I think I see the problem. Okay, good. I fixed it. Oh, it still says incorrect. Okay, connected. All right. How do I know if we're live? Can anybody hear me? CosmosAstrumRadio.ca for those of you that are watching. Yeah, am I supposed to hear something, Matt? Okay, because okay, yep. All right. So are we playing the intro or are we live now? All right. Well, there you go. Hey, look at that. Live radio. Anything can happen. Hey, let's just roll with the punches. And hey, there. For those of you that are just joining us, I'm Josh, and I want to welcome you to The Curious Narrative. We've been waiting for this day for so long, and it's finally here. And again, we're broadcasting live on Cosmos Astrum Radio. This here is our debut episode, and I'm really glad that everybody decided to join us for this today. Tonight, we'll be talking about intuition and psychic abilities with Jackie Youngson, but I wanted to take some time right off the top of the show here just to tell you a little bit about the vision for this show, for The Curious Narrative. And we'll get started by just letting everybody know that, just like every show here on Cosmos Astrum Radio, this is a safe place, and it's a welcome place to discuss all things, and particularly, of course, in this case, we're going to be discussing the paranormal. This show will discuss a wide variety of topics. Many people might find things strange. Many others may consider them spooky, but everyone hopefully will find this interesting. This will be a platform for those of us with similar interests where we can all come together for conversation and storytelling. And I do recognize that there will be differing opinions and we might not always see eye to eye on things, but I do think at the end of the day, it's good to have conversation. And that's what we plan to do here. We're going to bring a topic, we're going to discuss it, and everybody will go away to form their own opinions. On a different note, some of you might be familiar with my TikTok channel. Shout out to all of you guys listening on TikTok, where I go by the handle of You Say Whoa or at You Say Whoa. And over the last few months, I've been sharing videos in a series that I called Scary Saskatchewan. And for those that maybe don't know, these were short videos that retold some of Saskatchewan's spookiest tales. And I've been pretty lucky to be able to share these stories with many of my followers. The Scary Saskatchewan video, the cool thing about that is there were, a few kind of famous Scary Saskatchewan tales, but there was only a finite amount of those local legends that, were available for me to share. So the interesting thing about The Curious Narrative is I know there are many more stories and experiences out there. Many of us have had experiences, both you and me, and some of those experiences have been strange, and we just can't explain, why they happened. So some of those experiences, they might not be nothing more than, a simple head scratcher, but some of those experiences, well, they might have been downright terrifying. Whatever your story is, I want to hear it. So each week, we'll have some time at the end of the show for you, our Curious Narrative listeners, to call in and share your stories. Your experience may tie in with the week's topic, but It might not. It might just be a terrifying tale that you feel the need to share. Either way, call in. If you're in Saskatchewan, our number is 306-400-3403. And if you're outside of Saskatchewan, call us toll free at 1-877-229-5171 and join the conversation. There are other ways for you to interact with us too. You can jump on Discord and you can join the Cosmos Astrum Radio server. You can also visit cosmosastrumradio.ca, and there's the link to the Cosmos Astrum Radio server there as well. You can hit up YouTube. This is being streamed on YouTube as well, and you can search for the Medutu Effect channel, click on the live stream, and leave us some comments in the chat. And new this week, I started a Facebook page for The Curious Narrative. So jump on Facebook, search for The Curious Narrative, and give our page a follow. Oh, well, we're having a glitch, so we're going to stop for a minute and we'll come back. All right. Now, Rocket Broadcaster. Look at all of this fun stuff that's happening. Hey, people, I'm live. All right, look at that. Okay, here we go. We're going to keep going. There's so much going on. It's keeping us, keeping us on our toes. We'll get this figured out for next week. I promise you all. But now that we got that out of the way, you know what? Let's take a minute. Let's play a song. We'll regroup. And when we come back, we will be joined by Jackie Youngson, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her work as a psychic medium. But first, here's Don't Fear the Reaper on The Curious Narrative. All of times have come. But now they're gone. Seasons don't fear the reaper, nor do the wind, the sun, or the rain. We can be like they are. Come on, baby, don't
she couldn't go on. The door was open and the wind appeared. The candles blew and then disappeared. The curtains flew and then he appeared. Don't be afraid, come on baby, she had no fear. As she ran to him, not too far, they looked backward and said goodbye. She had taken his hand, she told me come right there. Come on baby, don't fear the reaper.
Well, that was just the right song to kind of ease the anxiety that was going around those first few minutes of live radio. Hey, first show debacle, but you know what? We're past it. We're going forward, and we're going to talk about intuition. So, psychic, medium, empath. These are just a few of the terms used to describe those who possess the ability of intuition that allows them to connect with people and with spirits. I thought I would talk a little bit about my experience with mediums or psychics, and in the interest of transparency, I will fully admit that my experience in this field is limited. I can recall, though, having an encounter with one person who referred to herself as a medium. And while this interaction was not directly about me, I was standing beside a friend who was getting information from this medium. And while I won't go into specifics, just out of respect for my friend, I can say that this medium was able to provide information about a departed relative. And this information, it turned out to be incredibly accurate, which I thought was quite interesting. In fact, this experience was so interesting, and it was nothing like what I was led to believe by watching those late night infomercials where Miss Cleo was threatening to take a young man to church. Instead, it was a peaceful and respectful encounter that left my friend feeling reassured about something that she had felt and believed for most of her life. Another intriguing element of this encounter was the fact that my friend and this medium had only met one another that night. There didn't seem to be any opportunity, as far as I know, for the medium to kind of gather information about my friend beforehand that could be used at a reading in the future. And the medium's ability to convey such accurate information certainly left me intrigued. But here we are now, many years later, and I have the opportunity to dig deeper into the world of intuition. And now I'm excited to have Jackie Youngson with us to discuss her abilities. She's going to share some of her processes. She's going to share some of her experiences, including strange tales. Plus, in just a little bit, Jackie will take a bit of time to do some live readings with a few lucky callers. But first, we're going to have a chat. Jackie, thanks for being here. How are you tonight?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And thanks for coping with the first show jitters.
Oh, it's all about just getting the kinks out, and I'm glad I could be here for you. It's
Yeah,
all good now, right?
you.
And a great song.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? So I want to talk a little bit about your work as a psychic or a medium. I think you are okay using those terms to describe the work you do. That's accurate?
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your skill set, and I guess even going back to the early years of your when you were developing your ability? What did that look like when you were? How did young Jackie cope with this ability?
I love that young Jackie. Young Jackie didn't cope very well because she had no idea what was going on. And I'm pretty sure my parents had no idea either. I was the typical little town girl, knowing things, feeling things, seeing things, having crazy dreams that just weren't being explained. And then once I got older, I started being kind of thrown around to different clique groups. And all my friends always were like, yeah, that information is really good. And how did you know that? And then I'd start hearing things and feeling things. But I basically didn't really get back into being me until I got pregnant with my daughter, Harmony. And I just basically had to refine myself. And by refining myself, it just means I was hearing cell phones ring before they were. And I was telling her dad, like, answer your phone. And he's like, the phone's not ringing. And so little things like that constantly through my life really made me one think, am I crazy or is this psychic stuff really for real? Because it was very taboo growing up in the 90s with it. And yeah, I'd read my astrology, but basically going to the Body, Soul, and Spirit Expo and meeting a woman who was a angel therapy practitioner, I learned about myself. And because of that woman, I just got to shape my gifts and my abilities. So the hearing things, I got to learn why I was hearing things, what kind of messages were to be pushed forward. And then I really got to horn in on my craft in the last 10 years. And, in all honesty, the things that I have seen and the things that have came out of my mouth during mediumship readings blows my own mind, because I have no idea what I'm saying, or I don't know anything about these people. So I find it really refreshing for myself, because sometimes within those sessions, I get to hear my own messages. So, that's a whole lot into one, but basically, when you feel left out, it's a big sign that you have a little something more to you.
So you had talked about your parents not really understanding what was going on. When you kind of started to understand what was going on, how did you explain it to your parents, and what was their initial reaction?
Well, it's funny because when I was younger, well, not funny, but my grandfather passed away and I was sitting at the church and I remember him sitting beside me and he told me to tell something to my mom. And I turned to her and I told her it, and her jaw hit the ground. But I don't remember what I said and I don't remember anything more. And then, as things progressed, and I feel like what's the word I'm looking for? I'm a feeler. So sometimes my words don't come out of my mouth, but when I felt like I was ready to really be a part of the world and show my gifts to everybody and, allow myself to help others now, I'm not sure my parents really understood what I was about. I know that my mom was like, are you want to be like the people on Ghost Whisperer or Medium? And I didn't have cable, so I didn't know what those shows were about. But because it just sunk in so deep with me, and then I went to Doreen Virtue's intuition class in Hawaii, it really just, they open themselves up that our daughter's kind of different and we just have to go with it. And as the years grew on, they've become more and more supportive. And actually, my mom's listening right now. So, hi, Mom.
Hello, Jackie's mom. Uh, so that's interesting. And I'm assuming over time, then, as you kind of developed that ability and gained a better understanding of what was going on and what was happening, I'm assuming that also helped your parents kind of gain a new appreciation, or, understand more so what was happening in your life.
Yeah, I very much do agree with that. And it really, I almost feel like it made us closer because they understood me a whole lot more, because I was very different. I was a different breed, or the black sheep of the family, right? But my family's so loving and supportive that, like, even when my grandmother passed away, all my cousins were like, what did you see? What was she doing? And like, it was so amazing that I was the one that got to be that person to pass on the message when she crossed over. So
Cool. Yeah, that would
yeah,
definitely be probably provide some reassurance in the context of loss
totally.
and grief. Hey,
Yeah.
so you had also kind of mentioned shows like Ghost Whisperer and Medium. Do you think that those types of shows, and even more so now, and even I mentioned like the old television infomercials with Miss Cleo, uh,
Yeah.
and now shows that feature people like Teresa Caputo and Tyler Henry. Do you think those Hollywood Hollywood versions of mediumship and intuition have created unrealistic expectations for the ability that you possess?
Interesting question. When I watch Teresa Caputo, there are times when I'm hearing more messages and I'm kind of yelling at the TV things that I feel or hear. And so like I think it's great that these people are on television and making this more mainstream, because what I provide in my sessions is so much more than just mediumship. It goes into like energy clearings, and I feel like with the mediumship skill and the fact that that's so mainstream, it is really helping people be able to move on and know that they're your loved ones are out there and you can feel them, and you're not going crazy because you smell grandma or somebody's blowing on your neck.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about experiences like smelling, and because I think many people, myself included, have had experiences where you smell something, whether it be a perfume or I think a lot of people, sometimes will smell cigarette smoke. I know I had a great grandparent who always used to eat the original like menthol flavored halls,
Okay.
and that's the smell that I associate with her. And I don't know that I've ever smelt it in an environment where somebody wasn't actually eating it, but I could see how those memories could be triggered by those smells, right?
Yep.
But in terms of the work that you do, so what kind of tools do you use when you're doing a reading for some of your clients?
So, because I have developed my skills a whole lot more, I don't use angel oracle cards like I once did. Oracle cards are like tarot, only different, because tarot is very set in its ways, and I just really couldn't mesh with it. But I will use oracle cards. But basically, I tune in to your guardian angels, all your beings of the light. I ask any loved ones, and I actually ask any animals to come forward. And I've tuned in on animals, the pets of people that they've lost, and I ask them what messages they have for you. And I'll start off the session by just opening my mouth and blabbing whatever they have to say. It's basically like talking to your best friend, but you get to sit there and just listen. I do energy work as well, because I find it's very important for empathic, sensitive people to release negative fear cords that are attached to one another, to clear your aura, other things like that. And then at the end of the session, if I haven't hit the nail on the head, then ask questions, right? Because you always got to make sure that I personally like to make sure that my clients leave satisfied and make sure that they have all those questions answered. So if I need to go into cards to explain to my clients more, I will, because sometimes people need to see it rather than just hearing it from my mouth.
Yeah, that would certainly be important, I think. Hey, but what actually caught my interest was you talked about pets. So if an animal is coming through, uh, does that animal communicate in language like you and I are using, English, or do they communicate in other ways?
Yeah, I hear them like people. When they come through, sometimes they'll lick my face or they'll rub on my leg. Like I kind of have specific things for each animal, and that's what each psychic will say. They have little cues that your team shows you, and then they'll just talk to me, and it's kind of like Dr. Doolittle, right?
There's an
And
entertaining thought.
right. But sometimes just to know that our pets are there as well. A lot of people, with the fact that the pets have come through, it's because they they need that loving reassurance from a past loved one that was there unconditionally. And I think pets are just great for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big believer in the power of the human animal bond. So I think anytime there is an opportunity for people to reconnect with their loved ones, whether they be human or furry friends, furry companions, then that is certainly something that would be beneficial and I think helpful in a lot of ways. Um, are there any other tools that you use in your line of work? I know in a previous conversation that you and I have had, you mentioned a pendulum as one of the tools that you used.
I like to use pendulums because they give you the yes and the no. And sometimes our ego minds can step in and shift. I could ask it a specific question and I really wanted to say yes. So my will can actually shift that. And so I like to make sure to use that for very specific yes, no. If I'm feeling like I need to, I don't use it for my clients as much as I use it for personal stuff.
Cool. How does one acquire some of these tools? Is it something that you could, walk through a store and pick up, or are there um, more special ways that one might come across these tools?
So there are many tools. People have used crystals. There's also ruins. You can go to metaphysical stores like Via Warehouse Books here in Regina, and the Broom Shop, I believe, is our other place. But basically, if any of my clients are guided to get Oracle decks, I will pick it up. But me personally, I just felt the need to pick up this deck, and I had to have it. And so if you are guided to a specific deck or a pendulum or tarot cards, then my suggestion is to pick them up, to play with them, to get to know them. And in the Oracle books, they each have books in the back. And so therefore you can read about each card. And that's how I got to know my decks. And now my decks just speak to me. So I touch the card and they give me the information about that card for you specifically, because not everything you read in the book will be what you need to hear at that time.
So it is then something that maybe
I feel like you're very guided towards it.
Okay. So yeah, so there are times then where one tool might speak more loudly, so to speak,
Yeah.
for one particular person, but it might be a different situation for another person.
Exactly. Yeah. Because like the Oracle texts, like for instance, the ones I have beside me, I have the Romance Angels, I have Ascended Masters, the Magical Unicorns, so there are just, depending what mood I'm in or depending what my client needs, will be what deck I pick, right? So I probably have about 20 of them that I've accumulated the last 15 years.
Well, hey, it's good to have variety. Hey.
Right? So, you can never have enough, no, you can never have too many, just like crystals.
For those that are just joining us, we're sitting here and having a conversation with psychic medium Jackie Youngson. Jackie's telling us a little bit about her processes and her work as a psychic medium. Jackie, can you tell us a little bit about how, well, I guess not how, but some of these strange tales or strange experiences that you've encountered in your work? I know you've shared some stories with me in the past, and I won't mention anything particular. I'll leave it up to you to decide which stories you like to share. But yes, please enlighten us on some of the strange tales that you have.
Well, one of the coolest ones that I've just actually kind of been remembering is that I went through a glitch in the Matrix once. Me and my cousin and a couple other people, I think a friend and then another cousin. But anyways, my small town Rolo was having um, a reunion for my parents' age, and we all jumped in my cousin's car and we went driving off and we're singing and we go to turn on. So when we leave our town, you can turn right onto a main highway. And so we turned onto the highway and all of a sudden there's this whoosh. And we all looked at each other and basically we should have got smushed by the semi. And that would have just kiboshed the whole reunion. So we basically all looked at each other and we're like, oh, we should have been dead. We didn't think anything more of it, went on our merry way. But seeing other stories like that on TikTok now was like, well, I definitely could have not been here right now. But that goes to show what kind of mission that I have right now, right? So
Yeah, something or someone was looking out for you, it would seem.
exactly. And that honestly, I've been in many, many different car situations where I'm very grateful for the people who watch over me. I've had cool things like that. I've blown up light bulbs in anger. But the funniest one that I have is I had headphones and I was putting these new covers on them and I dropped it. And so it technically should just be right on the floor, right in front of me. So I look and it's not there. And this is when I first started learning about my intuition. So I asked, I'm like, okay, where's my headphone thing? And they're like, it's under the mat. I was like, it can't be under the mat. Like, how would it get under a mat? I was like, no. So I pulled apart the couch and I'm moving everything around. And I'm like, hey, seriously, I'm frustrated. Where is this headphone thing? It's under the mat. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I have to learn to trust what I hear because in sessions, I just speak whatever comes out. So I'm going to look under this mat. So I picked up the mat and I could hear all these little fairies just giggling like hee 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 hee. And there was my earphone thing under this mat. And I was like, how is this even possible? I just mind blown. And from that moment on, every time I hear something like if I'm driving and they're like, the light's going to change, I'll slow down. I won't accelerate. I'm done fixing my brakes.
Do they ever give you advice? Like if you're lost, they guide you to your destination? Do you have like built-in direction services?
I do. And you know what? The archangels are really good at finding lost things. But this one time, me and my friend were out cruising the back roads because small town girl, that's what we did. And I dropped my cell phone and my daughter spoke her first words at 6 months old, or maybe 4 to 6 months old, said, hi, mom. And I'm like, I have to find this phone. But it was almost 2 hours after the fact. So I'm like, okay, guides, I need you to guide me back every single road and turn. And I was back 40 behind Regina. Well, I got to a point and my friend was like, we're never going to find this. And I'm like, no, cancel, clear, delete. We're going to do this. I'm going to find this. And I looked up and I saw these horses and I'm like, I don't remember seeing these horses. But if you look up in the Animal Spirit Guides book, horses are here to help you. And so looking back on it, I was like, sweet, those horses were my like, keep it going, Jackie. So I kept her going and I found my cell phone. I found it. I got right back to square one. So even if I'm lost on some back road or in Regina, I can find my way.
That would be handy in so many ways for me. But
well, we do have GPS on phones now.
Thank goodness for that. Hey,
amen. Technology.
Yeah. So we're going to go to a song here. And when we come back, Jackie has agreed to do some live reading or a live reading for some lucky callers. So we're going to go to a song. If you want to be the first person to have a reading from Jackie, give us a call. If you're in Saskatchewan, the number is 306-400-3403. If you're outside of Saskatchewan, give us a call at 1-877-229-5171. And what's this next song going to be? Well, here's a teaser for you. I've heard that there's a whole generation of people that can identify this song by the first note. Is it true? Let's find out.
When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. He said, son, when you grow up, would you be the savior of the broken, the beaten, and the damned? He said, will you defeat your demons and all the non-believers, the plans that they have made? Because one day I'll leave you a phantom to lead you in the summer to join the Black Parade. you want to know. We'll carry on, we'll carry on. And though we are sick, God, believe me, your memory will carry on, will carry on. And I can't contain it. The answer won't explain it. A world that sends you reeling from decimated dreams. Your misery and hate will kill us all. So paint it black and take it back. Let's shout it loud and clear. Defiant to the end, we hear the call to carry on. We'll carry on. And though we are sick, God, believe me, your memory will carry on. We'll carry on. And though we are broken and defeated, your really will marches. Now we carry through the fears. It's our pride and faces of your peers. So we're done. You'll never get me because the world will never take my heart. No one try. You'll never break me. We want it all. We want to break this. I won't explain or say I'm sorry. I'm unashamed. I'm gonna show my scar to the chair for all the broken. Listen here, because it's who we are. Just a man. I'm not a hero. Just a boy who wanted to sing this song. Just a man. I'm not a hero. I don't care. We'll carry on. We'll carry on. And though we are sick, God, believe me, your memory will carry on. You'll carry on. And though we are broken and defeated, carry on marches.
And that's Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. I'm seeing lots of comments on TikTok. That song is a classic, says Oh Hey Guy. And I have to agree. How many people actually did guess the title of that song or guess what song was coming up by that first note? I know I've seen many TikToks about that. Somebody will play that one note on a piano and boom, I know what song is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We are here on The Curious Narrative. This is Cosmos Astrum Radio. My name is Josh, and I'm joined by Jackie Youngson, a Saskatchewan-based psychic medium. And Jackie has been telling us a little bit about the work that she does as a medium. And one of the cool things about tonight's show is that we've allocated some time for people to call in for a live reading with Jackie. So Jackie is going to treat somebody to a live reading. So if you want to be that person, and we might do more than one, and depending on how much time we have here. We're going till the top of the hour, 10 o'clock, so we've got about 20 minutes. But give us a call if you're in Saskatchewan. The number is 306-400-3403. Elsewhere, if you are outside of Saskatchewan, there's a toll-free number, and that is 1-877-229-5171. Jackie, how often do you do readings in a remote virtual distance setting like this?
I do them as much as my clients need them, to be honest. I haven't done a radio show like this for quite a while or any expos because of COVID, but
The call coming in.
Awesome.
Hey, this is The Curious Narrative. Who do we have on the line? Oh, let's try that again. Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
I've been watching your, hello?
Hey there. Can you turn, if you're listening in the background on a device, can you turn the volume down on that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. We're getting a little bit of feedback. All right. That sounds better. Are you still there?
Yes, I am.
All right. So what's your name?
Donna.
Hey, Donna, would you like, I'm assuming you're calling because you are interested in receiving a reading from Jackie here tonight.
Yes.
All right. Well, I will turn things over. Jackie.
All right. I'm just going to jump on in. So, Donna, I just want to quickly call on your guardian angels and other beings of the light sign, give you a clear, precise, and accurate reading. I was pulled towards the romance angels cards, but I just wanted to take one moment and see what they have for you.
Okay.
Okay, so what they're showing me is that you're going through these moments of being very stagnant and then go, 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 go mode, stagnant, go, go, go. And you need to learn to find the fine line between each, because I feel like you sometimes run on steam. And the second I heard your voice, I just wanted to literally start clearing your aura just to give you a little more boost of energy. The card that came out for you is getting to know each other, and that just totally matches what I was feeling, because it's really about learning your balance right now. I feel like you're a very busy person, but you need to learn how to take that 5 minutes of bathroom time, I like to call it, and just literally learn how to detach. And your guides are really needing you to do more breath work. So by breath work, I mean you pull that breath from your stomach, breathing all the way up. And I like to envision the breath going through my chest, out the top of my head, and then back down. I feel like it's going to help calm your mind. Like, it's very hard for me to tune in actually, because I just feel it racing, racing, racing. So I want you right now with me to rub your hands together. Anybody else who wants to do it, feel free. It's a nice grounding exercise. So if you rub your hands together, just take 3 good deep breaths in and out. That'll help calm your mind and be more present. And when you're more present, Donna, then you can start hearing your messages. But what they're saying is you hear them and you disregard the ones that you don't want. And that's not how our guides work, unfortunately. So by being more guided, they're telling you can trust yourself more. I feel like trust is a big thing going on for you. And so when you start trusting the little things in yourself, the bigger stuff starts opening up for you. And a little sidebar to that for you is the people that you know you can't trust, please trust yourself with that, okay?
Okay.
And, I could talk and talk and talk for an hour session with you. So do you have a question for me? Anything you'd ask your best friend with advice about?
Can't really think of anything right offhand.
That's okay. I'll tune in and see if there's any more big specific messages, because I know there was a flood of messages that came in. A flood of pictures that I saw. One that I keep seeing over and over again is water. So do you like to drink your water?
Yes, I do.
Good, because that really helps you take that time and just be. Because the biggest thing right now for you to manifest what's coming, because I feel like you're trying to create things, and I just feel like being more present is going to be able to allow you to open up your abilities more. So when you're drinking that water, please take that time to just be, but remember to keep drinking your water through every day. Because of the way I saw it, I feel like there's some days when you're like, oh crap, I forgot to drink my water, and so you start kind of chugging it back. Which we can all do that. But just, I feel like you get too hard on yourself, and you just really got to ease up. You've been through way too much stuff in your life to get hard on yourself now, okay?
Okay.
I feel like I'm going to go really specific with you, and I'm not sure you want the world to hear some stuff. If you can feel what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you want to go over to my Angel Love with Jackie on Facebook, feel free to shoot me a message and I can tell you some other stuff that I was feeling privately.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, take care, Donna. Angel hugs.
Yeah.
Thanks, Donna.
Thanks.
Thanks for calling and thanks for listening.
Oh, you're welcome.
Take care.
Yeah, you too.
All right. We actually have another call coming in, so we'll jump right to that one. Hey, this is the Curious Narrative. Who do we have on the line?
Zach,
Hey, Zach, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Are you interested in a reading from Jackie?
Yes.
All right, Jackie, I will turn it over to you.
Alrighty, so I'm just going to tune in and call on your guides, see what I get. Right away, I saw you working with your hands. So do you work with your hands?
I try to as much as I can.
Yeah, because that's like your outlet. So if it's not something you're doing as your career, if you ever feel like you need to like step away from everyday life, go tinker with your hands. Like your hands are sometimes they can be like idle hands, maybe get you in trouble, but that's one of your outlets. And when I talk about outlets is like your way to get steam off. I feel like just give me 1 second. I feel like it's time for you to come out of this shell. Like I feel like you've kind of been it's almost like I feel like you're blocking your abilities or sorry, I'm a feeler, so it's like so I'm getting this strange taste in my mouth and it's like, I just don't want to deal with this again. I don't want to go through all this again. So are you going through some personal stuff with some people right now?
Maybe not people specifically, but I'm going through some stuff.
Yeah, well, and I guess sometimes when I pick up on energy, the people could be your guides that are around because what they show me is like you've almost put this big like rock energy around you. And you got to understand that once you call in your guardian angels and start working with the beings of the light, they will help keep you safe and protected. And they will give you cues on when to be aware that something negative is coming. I just honestly, I want to cut your cords for you, bud. Like you are an empathic person and you will take on everybody's stuff. And so I like to tell people get your bare feet in the ground, use the shower as a way to heal off and clear the energy. That'll really help open up your third eye, is what I'm seeing. And once again, the trust. But because of the new moon, it's really shifted a lot of people, and trust is become a very big overlaying message for a lot of empathic, sensitive people. Okay. So just be aware of the people that you surround yourself with. And if you aren't surrounding yourself with people, enjoy your own company, because when you're out and about in the world, whether it's getting groceries or taking a walk, you are a magnetic sponge, Zach. So it's time to learn how to cut the cords and how to, like I was telling Donna, being present is very important for empathic, sensitive people as well.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific question for me?
I kind of do. You and Josh were speaking a little earlier about pets and animals. We had a family pet. Our first dog actually passed away last year.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And right around, pardon?
I'm sorry to hear that. Losing an animal is never easy.
Yeah, no, it is. It's not. And kind of right around the same time, my parents had taken in a couple of cats. One of them was a mama cat, and she had 5 kittens. They currently house 2 of the kittens. They've obviously grown up. And one of the kittens is very attached to my stepdad, the way that the dog was. And I'm just wondering if there's some sort of relation.
1,000%. As soon as you're like, so like beating around the bush, trying to ask the question, but not, 1,000%. I got angel bumps going up my arms. And animals, I find, will reincarnate, and they don't have to be specifically the exact same animal. They'll be a cat or a dog, or they can be the male or female. But I would definitely say yes. And I feel like it's because he really needs that animal, because animals will naturally release energy for us. And so because he's not naturally releasing it himself, the animal definitely was like, I'm coming back to get him. And it's interesting because the magical unicorns deck was like hollering at me, and I got the card healer. And then we were talking about the healer animal, right? So that is a part of your makeup as well, Zach. Okay. But slow and steady wins the race. Your healing abilities will come out when it's time. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Angel hugs to you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for calling, Zach. Take care.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Well, that was very interesting. We have a couple of minutes here left, Jackie, and I don't know that we have time for another reading, but I'm just wondering, do you have any parting words for our listeners here today that could offer some guidance for difficult times that anybody may be facing in this day and age?
Interesting. Well, when I personally get into difficult times, I like to learn how to step back and count my blessings. And yeah, that's hard. Don't want to do that. I'm mad. So you know what? I'm going to do some big, huge, deep breaths. However it needs to be, or I'll scream into a pillow, or I'll pound my fists on the bed. It doesn't matter what you do. It's what your makeup is. And so with what I do is I can help you find the way to release. But right now, the time has come for all of us to start doing our healing. And that means to start loving ourselves more, to be kind to one another, because we never know what somebody's going through. They may be walking with a big grin on their face, but they may have the weight of the world on their shoulders. I think one of the biggest things is to not judge and to truly watch our thoughts, because our ego minds can be very tricky, dangerous things. And I just want everybody to know that your guardian angels are here to help support and guide you, and to just really learn to trust yourself, because that's where it all begins, with intuition.
Very fitting message for the end of the first episode of The Curious Narrative. Thank you so much, Jackie, for being the first guest. I think this went well, and I hope you will consider coming back when we have some of the bugs worked out, and we can do things smoothly. So again, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you are very, very welcome. This has been the first episode of The Curious Narrative on Cosmos Astrum Radio. I am Josh, your host, and I hope you'll come back next week, because we're going to be talking about ghosts and paranormal. We have lined up a guest. We will be joined by Curtis from a group in Saskatchewan called Purgatory Adventures. Curtis is going to join us to talk about some of his creepy experiences as an amateur paranormal investigator in Saskatchewan. To close the show out tonight, though, I thought we would play one last song. And this is another classic. Here's The Devil Went Down to Georgia on The Curious Narrative.
The devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind and he was willing to make a deal. When he came across this young man sewing on a fiddle and playing it hot, and the devil jumped up on a hickory stump and said, "Boy, let me tell you what. I guess you didn't know it, but I'm a fiddle player too. And if you'd care to take a dare, I'll make a bet with you. Now you played pretty good fiddle, boy, but give the devil his due. I bet a fiddle of gold against your soul, because I think I'm better than you." The boy said, "My name's Johnny, and it might be a sin, but I'll take your bet you're gonna regret, because I'm the best there's ever been. Johnny, rosin up your bow and play your fiddle hard, cause hell's broke loose in Georgia and the devil deals the cards. And if you win, you get this shiny fiddle made of gold. But if you lose, the devil gets your soul. The devil opened up his case and he said, I'll start this show. And fire flew from his fingertips as he rosined up his bow. And he pulled the bow across the strings and it made an evil hiss. And then a band of demons joined in and it sounded something like this. When the devil finished, Johnny said, well, you're pretty good, old son, but sit down in that chair right there and let me show you how it's done. Fire on the mountain, run, boys, run. The devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the bread pan, picking out dough. Granny lives your dog back, no child knows. The devil bowed his head because he knew that he'd been beat, and he laid that golden fiddle on the ground at Johnny's feet. Johnny said, devil, just come on back if you ever want to try again. I done told you once, you son of a bitch, I'm the best there's ever been. He played Fire on the Mountain, run, boys, run. Devil's in the house of the rising sun. The chicken in the bread pan, picking out dough. Granny, where your dog bite, no child knows.